going on, guys? This is Jay from the JCast podcast. I want to talk to you guys really quickly about disclosure and why it's not happening the way you think it's supposed to happen, or why nobody's produced any videos on UFOs or any of the TR3B auroras or any of that stuff. And people are saying like, "Hey, man, the government knows about UFOs. The government's hiding UFOs. The government's keeping the secret from us. Blah blah blah." The truth of the matter is, and this is my strong speculation and conjecture. The truth of the matter is this: the government, as we know them, as our elected officials, Congress, the president, Senate, all that, those guys don't give us disclosure because they themselves don't have access to that stuff. They don't have access to those files. They don't have access. And we'll be like, what? But the government, no. The military is working on it, okay? The military subcontracts to Lockheed Martin. The military subcontracts to Boeing. They subcontract to Raytheon. They subcontract to all these other, the known offenders, right? And these guys, Boeing, Raytheon, all those people, they begin working on material science, jet propulsion, which they I'll get to that a bit later. Jet propulsion, energy, 0-point energy, all that kind of stuff. They work on that stuff, right? And they give tidbits of information to the military when they report back to them, okay? And then the military further dilutes that tidbit of information to their superiors, okay, when they get back to them. And then that information is even further diluted to our elected officials, so much so that by the time they get to our elected officials, all they have is they're working on a top secret project. That's it. They're not saying that those UFOs that you see up in the sky, those flying saucers, those triangle shaped ships, they're not saying that they're ours because they don't know. But the truth of the matter is that they are ours, okay? And they've had them possibly since the 70s, the 60s, definitely the 80s. And the government doesn't know. And the problem with that is that people want to talk about the deep state, right? There is a security apparatus that's so secretive within the deep state, okay, that for you to get to it, you have to go first through the deep state and into it. And these people have been known to delete high class officials, even a president in certain cases, right? And people say, well, if 0-point technology was actually real, they would have came out with it already, or the government would have given it to us, or the government's hiding it, or whatever the case is. The truth is, 0-point energy has been a thing possibly since the 80s. Okay, they maybe even further than that. But it wasn't the government who discovered it. It wasn't the military who discovered it. It was subcontracted by the military to work on this technology. They ended up discovering it, okay? And they kind of kept the military out. I'll tell you who they didn't keep out: the CIA. The CIA are agents, not of the United States government, but of this security apparatus, okay? They are the security apparatus of whatever we call this. I don't know if it's the breakaway civilization. Within the deep state, there's another thing called the breakaway civilization, and those guys have all the technologies. So when people say, oh, when is disclosure coming? I don't think it's ever going to come unless the deep state wants to, and even that, I don't think it's ever going to come. And the reason is the government doesn't know, okay? They have no access to this, and the people who do come out and say it are written off as quacks at best. Worst case scenario, they get murked, right? And I know I'm a little all over the place here, but just hear me out. They cracked 0-point energy. They cracked anti-gravitics. In the 50s, they cracked anti-gravitics, right? And the reason they don't put it out there, number one, is because the regular, right? Oil companies, the aerospace industry gets revolutionized, and all these companies go out of business. The oil companies, all these companies go out of business, right? And that's just for anti-gravitics, right? When you talk about 0-point, coal companies, oil companies, all that stuff. And so then you ask yourself, like, well, why are they keeping it? And the reason is they're keeping it because it's more, it allows them, the people who make the money off the current status quo, right, are the people, number one, who will benefit from them keeping it and not putting it out to the public. And number two, with the money that they make, right? This is my speculation. With the money that they make from the oil industries, like the multi-billion, trillion-dollar industry, they break a piece off of that to the deep state and the security apparatus in the form of donations so that they can continue to develop this technology and they can continue to develop these weapons and they can continue to develop this zero-point energy stuff. Okay? They continue to do that. They break them off something so that they can continue to work on it without putting it out there. And number three, the CIA also funds this. And how do they fund it? The typical stuff. Drug running, okay? Arms dealing, okay? And human trafficking. Believe it or not, this human traffic and the CIA travels to a lot of different places using the TR-3Bs. I heard rumors of John Kerry, like 2004 Democratic presidential candidate. He has a TR-3B machine that he goes and he travels back and forth with. So the truth is, disclosure won't happen. It won't come from the government because the government themselves is kept in the dark about this, as we are, believe it or not. Okay, it won't come from the military because most members of the military are kept in the dark about it, as we are. And then the people who are not kept in the dark about it, who don't want to come out and say it, right? Number one, it's either because they think they're going to get murked, or number two, because they believe in whatever's happening. They believe in it so much that they think that being kept in secret is better than not being kept in secret. And, you know, you guys would probably ask, well, how do you know all this? Well, there's a book called The Hunt for Zero Point by Nick Cook. There's a book that I read that's fantastic. There's a book called In Plain Sight by Ross Coulthart. Fantastic book. Both of these books are not they're journalism books. They're not like science fiction. They're not meant to be some crazy, like, oh yeah, you know, the aliens, hanging out with the aliens nonsense. It's just pure you know, investigative journalism. And I'm gonna leave it off with this, and then I'll probably make a part 2 to this. But when we brought Nazis over from Germany into the United States in World War II with Operation Paperclip, we brought their scientists, we brought their technicians, we brought their technology, but we also brought the process of maintaining a security apparatus outside of the current state. What people don't know is that during World War II, right, during Nazi Germany, the SS and Nazis get used interchangeably. They're both evil, of course. They get used interchangeably, but the SS was like a separate society from the rest of Germany, and they were siphoning money off of Nazi Germany to continue to make these, what they call wonder waffles. Waffles, not like the waffles you eat, but wonder waffle. So like wonder weapons, right? V2 rockets, the Messerschmitts, which the Messerschmitts was actually one of the first jet-powered aircraft, believe it or not, and it came from Nazi Germany. The technology I can't believe came from Britain, but the actual pen to paper jet-powered aircraft came from Germany, and that's just what we know, right? That's just what we know. And we brought all that stuff over, and we brought the process and the ability for them to keep it secret. You know what I mean? A lot of these people weren't, some of them were Nazis, but the truth is a lot of them, the high-ranking officials from Germany that we brought over in Paperclip, they were SS. And that makes it even worse because the SS were people who actually concealed a lot of things from the rest of Germany. That's all speculation, but let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I don't think disclosure is coming, and if it is, it's not going to come from the government.